Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Live from Chicago, Be'ezer Hashem, the final shir here on the road. Next year, Be'ezer Hashem in RBS and MDY headquarters. What a trip, what a trip. The two highlights, the shir in the five towns was off the charts. And last night in Lakewood, mamish off the charts. I'm sure you saw, just in case you didn't see. So two quick videos. I do have to catch a flight, the usual, we're last minute here. I'm leaving to the airport, Be'ezer Hashem, in an hour and a half. So that should be enough time to give the shir, also pack and do whatever I need to do. Eat. The Ariel is unbelievable, the Ariel. Unbelievable. Baru and Aaron Hirsch did a phenomenal job here, organizing together with Crone. Dusty Crone, I think it is. What am I holding over there? What's going on? What is that? I don't know. I'm not thinking Echrais. Rabbi said we had a little bit of a situation yesterday. I want to share with the Olam. So, in the five towns, after shir was over, it was a great situation. I was on the platform to the Aron Kodesh. I stood three steps above everybody, and I leaned over and I gave Shalom Aleichem to a lot of people. They stood there patiently for over an hour. What happened was, in Lakewood, it was a large stage, and people felt that they could go onto the stage. And they went on the stage, and they started pushing, and it became very crammed, and it became a dangerous situation, and I had to kind of get out of it, and they wouldn't, everybody wanted to say hello, and then this is what happened over here. You don't really see anything, but it's this is just a muscle. We're going to have to do something next time so this doesn't occur, because it could get quite dangerous. I did get hurt a little bit. The boys are getting a little crazy. Let's calm down. By the way. Yeah, all right. But all in all, it was a gewaldige matzav. It was unbelievable energy. It was just beautiful. Mamish beautiful. So yishkoach to everybody. I got a bunch of messages about the Zeitlin boys, Sean and Spencer. It was mamish a beautiful thing that they came. Their mom drove them, I think, 2 hours or something. Not a lot of time to read emails, yet we'll do one or two. Dear Belly, I was watching Daf 47 in your commentary on L'Rtzonchem Tizbachuhu was truly inspiring, especially the story about the guitar player. I'd like to share a similar concept I heard from Rabbi Yitzchok Tuvia Wise, the Rav of Yerushalayim. During his farewell gathering in Antwerp, people asked him why at his age he chose to take on such a challenging role. He referenced the pasuk, Vayar menucha kitoiv, vayet shichmoy lizbo. The Mefarshim asked, if he saw that the menucha's menichu is good, why did he choose to work? The rabbi explained that the pshat is, since he saw the menucha is good, he gave it away to Hashem, meaning that a good thing should be dedicated to Hashem. We have something good, you give it to Hashem, it's a carbon. I believe MDY reflects the same idea. People enjoy entertainment, and by choosing to engage with Torah-based entertainment, you hear this, people enjoy entertainment, they like their phones, but when you choose to engage with Torah-based entertainment, they're giving their enjoyment to Hashem. Thank you for everything. Best, JW. Beautiful. Okay, fine. Rabbi say, because the hour is kind of late, we're going to skip here. Breakfast sponsors by Hershey Leader, L'Zech Nishmas, my grandmother. He's the one that sits on the left side of me in the basement. She wears tefillin sometimes. He is Yisrael Leichter's Shver. L'Zech Nishmas, my grandmother. Moras Chasha Rushi Bas Shalom Yisrael Shalom Yortzeit Mar Yidgimel Mar Chazrun. What about the microphone? Okay. The Masechta is urgent refuah shlema for Nachum Tzvi ben Yenta. Another Masechta sponsor, David Salomon, dedicated in memory of Avimari Reb Shmuel Baruch ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Doiv. The list of the Masechta sponsors Anonymous Nishmas Doidi Shlam Yehuda Zuchran Ben Shmuel Chai Zuchran Sheshoka Velama Koshim Kol Chayo. Anonymous the Schus before Shtem and Nochem Tzvi. Oh, this is the one. So he needs urgent refuah shlema. Sponsored by Skybrook Capital, in honor of our friends Meir Kovacs, Taki, and Shamshi Shlafrak for the devotion to Torah study and the shir. Joel Gedalis, Nili Nishmas, my father Jack Gedalis, Anonymous, Hatzlacha Baruchnis of Gashmis. Multi-sponsors Anonymous, Baruch Adbli Dai, Baruch Tzvinisimet, Shanaleo, Yehuda B'Yomim Ben Chava. Ariel Simon, weekly sponsor, Nili Nishmas, Rabbi Umoria, Rav Ezra, David Ben Rabbi Naftali, Alevi, Zechitzak, Levrocha Neuberger. Rav Ezra Neuberger of Ner Yisrael, Nifta Zayin Chezra, a true loss to the Ner Yisrael community worldwide. And all of Klal Yisrael. Daily sponsors, Ricky Cohen. On the occasion of my mother's yahrzeit, Sarah Rodnick Cohen, Sarah Bat Moshe, 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. Saria, Refuah Shlema, David Baruch, Bendit, Ben Cyril. Noam Fix. Wow, I've been waiting for Noam. I've been waiting for this one for years. In honor of my son Nachi Fix's Hanochas Tefillah. Nachi Fix learned 200 daf with MDY. 200 daf. It's a lot of daf for a 12-year-old. Mazel Tov Nachi. David Badil. Lefor Shleim Eliezer Shmuel Ben Vita. I just saw David Badil. MDY Art. Monthly. Yehonatan Eitan Ben Bashever Brachel Lefor Shleima Mordechai Ben Esther, Lefor Sayela Daniel Zev Ben Ayel Esther. Rabbi Isai. We're holding in the middle of a sugya. Gishmak is sugya, but unfortunately, it's going to be over soon. So chaper right when you can. We're learning about the 4 different limudim. We have the Hekesh, Gzer Shava, Kavachomer, and a Binyanav. Once you learn any one of these limudim, and you teach something, you learn B from A. Now you're looking at B. Can B be a teacher? So we went through most of the list. Binyanav is easy because the Gemara just puts it all in one category. So all 4 questions, Hekesh, Gedushav, Kavachim, Binyanav, are question mark. So holding Kavachomer, we did one Kavachomer thing. Now we're holding, can you learn, once you learn something from a Kavachomer, can you use Gzer Shava and learn something from it afterwards? Says the Gemara, Dovar Alomed Bekavachomer, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 lines from the bottom in my Gemara. The Oiz V'Hadar, by the way, this Gemara, it's a phenomenal thing. This is what Ari Haas convinced the art scroll. In art scroll, Baruch Hashem, they agreed. What you see here is that on the Gemara part, in the Rashi there's Nekudas, in the Taisus there's Nekudas, in the Gemara there's Nekudas. Now why is that important? Because first of all, it's very, very easy to read. Even if you're a great reader, it just makes it more gishmak. But I thought about it as something else. Those who are trying to make a laning on their own and trying to look on the other side of the art scroll, the Gemara part of the art scroll, it gives them another incentive to do so rather than to look in the art scroll part, in the English part, because you have the Nekudas. So you're anyways using an art scroll because it's easier. You're doing Daf Yomi. You don't have the time to do a laning, so to speak, right now. You don't want to prepare the Gemara. So you might want to do something in between. You might want to try to do the laning, at least if you like listening to the shir, gives you added bonus. It makes it easier. So shkoyach to Ari Haas and Art Scroll for putting this together. I'm looking forward to using it myself. But, and one cool thing that Ari has told me, it's better than my Gemara, because my Gemara, although it's the same thing, but they did it with the Tzur Sadaf. So when you say 20 lines from the bottom, it's literally 20 lines from in all Gemaras, in all Vilna Gemaras, whereas mine could be 21. It's a little off the Tzur Sadaf. They changed the Tzur Sadaf for this, which is phenomenal. So, Davar Alamed B'Kavachomer, Maushi Lamed B'Kavachomer. So we are holding, right? Let me see if I still have my, no, don't have it. Let's get a laser here. No, laser doesn't want to work. Don't know why. Oh, yeah, but it's not working. It looks like a, what do you call it? laser pointer. Oh, here. Okay. Here we're holding with the Kal V'chomer row. We're trying to do this row right over here. We did this yesterday. Can a Kal V'chomer? Can you learn once you learn a Kal V'chomer? Can you learn another Kal V'chomer? The Gemara says yes. So let's see why. Says Gemara, I'll answer you with a Kal V'chomer. With a Kal V'chomer, I can figure it out. Oh, so let's go over here. Yoshi did a nice thing here. If I can find it. Right over here. Ooh, why two? A Gzeir Shava cannot be learned out of a Hekesh, meaning a Gzeir Shava is weak. Let's ignore the names. Milamed b'Kal V'chomer yet. No, that didn't work out so great. Milamed b'Kal V'chomer. In other words, let's just do Baal Peh. Kal V'chomer is stronger than a Gzeir Shava. Why? Gzeir Shava a Gzeir Shava that's learned out of a Hekesh cannot teach. But a Kal V'chomer that's learned out from a Hekesh, let's see if I can get to that one. No. I think it's messed up. Okay, so ignore that for now. It was going in the right direction, but it's not accurate. So again, a Kal V'chomer is stronger than a Gzeir Shava. How did I know that? Because a Gzeir Shava that's learned from a Hekesh cannot teach. But a Kal V'chomer that's learned from a Hekesh could teach. So Kal V'chomer is stronger. And therefore, Kal V'chomer halamed mehekesh and it didn't shilam v'Kal V'chomer. So Kal V'chomer should certainly be able to teach if you learned it from a Kal V'chomer. So just a quick Geshmaka story. Rebbe Tzina Bashul said over that he knows of a guy who wanted to be a Baal Tshuva, started to become a Baal Tshuva. But he had a hard time wearing a yarmulke in front of his old friends, his co-workers. He was embarrassed. What are they going to say? So one day, he was in the bank. He sees a guy come in with like a bag full of coins, and it tore open, and the coins were flying all over. So the guy jumped on the floor, and he started chasing the coins on all four. It reminded me similar of children by a ofruf. The bags are thrown, the cans are thrown, the kid runs, rips his brand new suit, doesn't matter, he's running all over the floor to get a couple candies. That's what this adult was doing. The guy says, wait a minute, if an adult can get on all four to gather his coins, yeah, they're expensive coins, nice coins, whatever, but you could do that and it's not embarrassing because everybody understands he's trying to get your money. So why am I embarrassed? Why am I embarrassed with something that's important to me? Kids do it, they're not embarrassed. Adults do that when it comes to money, they're not embarrassed. So I'll do it, and I won't be embarrassed. Says the Gemara. This Rabbi Yisai, v'zeu Kal V'chomer ben Kal V'chomer. So this is perfect. Look at this. This is the son. This is a Kal V'chomer, the son of a Kal V'chomer. Meaning, how did we get to step number one? We only got to step number one through a Kal V'chomer. We had to create a Kal V'chomer, we got to step number one. What's step number one? That you could use a Kal V'chomer after Gzeir Shava. And then, how do we get to step number two? Through a Kal V'chomer. Kal V'chomer is stronger than Gzeir Shava, so certainly you can learn a Kal V'chomer from a Kal V'chomer. So we had to make two Kal V'chomers in order to get to where we got to. That what? You can learn a Kal V'chomer from a Kal V'chomer. So that's a grandchild of a Kal V'chomer. In other words, you had to use two Kal V'chomers. Who says that's okay? You know it's not okay? To use three Kal V'chomers. Hello, sorry. Ask the Gemara, Ben Benoisha Kal V'chomer who? In fact, it's three. Take a look. You have the 1 and 2, which we just said. In order to understand that a Kal V'chomer that comes after Gzeir Shava you could use, we had to use a Kal V'chomer. In order to say that a Kal V'chomer that comes after a Kal V'chomer, we had to use a Kal V'chomer. But what are you going to do with it now that you have that? you're going to use this kavachomer and teach me something real. Until now, we're learning could a kavachomer that comes from a kavachomer teach. Okay, now that I know that it could teach, now you're going to teach me something from a kavachomer. That's kavachomer number 3. That's too much. That's the grandchild. There's a father, there's a son, there's a grandchild. There's 3. Elo. So you know what? Says Gemara, if I take off number 1, let's get rid of number 1. I'll only have 2 and 3. So that's 2. That's okay. 3 is not okay. 2 is okay. In other words, number 1 before was that I know that a kavachomer that comes after Gzeir Shava, the only way I know it is through a kavachomer. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm not going to go through that limud. So what do I have? 2 and 3. Let's see the Gemara. Oh, I'm cheating. I'm going away from Gzeir Shava because that's the only way I could get to there is through a kavachomer, and I don't want 3 kavachomers. So I'm going to say something else. A hekesh that doesn't teach hekesh. We all know that. That's rule number 1. Hekesh cannot teach a hekesh in kachim. Even the Rav, even the Ravina. Milamed bekavachomer. Yet it could teach from a kavachomer midatara the Rebbe Shmuel. Kavachomer, I love a hekesh, but a kavachomer that you could learn from a hekesh. So in other words, kavachomer is stronger than a hekesh, and he did shilam a kavachomer. And he did shilam a kavachomer. Certainly, a kavachomer can teach a kavachomer because the kavachomer is stronger than a hekesh. So we're going away from the Gzeir Shava. And Memela will only have 2 and 3, and that's okay. 2 kavachomers is fine. V'zeo kavachomer ben kavachomer. That's not a grandchild. That's a son of a kavachomer. Next, the final thing on the list of kavachomer would be a binyanav. Here, in the kavachomer list, right over here, kavachomer list. We're going to go all the way to the end, right over here. Once you have a kavachomer, could you learn a binyan av? And the answer is, I don't know, question mark. I'll tell you. If you did malika, you poked your finger right through the neck of the bird, and you found out that this bird is a treifa. Now, what's the difference between a nevela and a treifa? A nevela is an animal that drops dead. That creates tumah. Now, if it's an animal like a cow, a goat, a sheep, and it drops dead, it had a heart attack and died, and you touch it, you become tumah. If it's a pigeon, a kosher bird, that drops dead and you touch it, you don't become tumah. When do you become tumah? If you swallow it. You eat it and you swallow it. That's called matama beis habliya. Now, we're going to have a discussion if the kohen shechts it. I don't want to say shecht. If the kohen does malika with his finger in the Beis Hamikdash, does that remove the tumah? Because treifa means, that's nevela. Treifa means an animal has a mu'am that's going to cause it to die within a year. Let's say a hole in its heart. And you go ahead and you shecht an animal before it dies, even though it has a hole in the heart, it does not create tumah. If you touch the dead carcass, if you make a steak, do you become tumah? It's from a dead animal. No. Why? Because you shecht the dead animal and it doesn't have tumah anymore. Even if it has a hole in the heart, it's not matama. So Mela, let's take a look over here at Yoshi's thing. I have a bird. I think this is what he was trying to do. Bird's flying. And an arrow punctures its, or whatever it is, punctures its, what is that, the liver? Heart? I don't know what. It becomes a treifa, and then you shecht it. It's not matama. Now let me show you a beis habliya real quickly. Roadkill. I love that AI car that just took a right turn, went over the lawn, drove away. Put it inside, now it's outside. Givaldic. Take a look what happens. If you eat the chicken, once you swallow it, you become red and tamei. So says the Gemara, If you did Melika and it's a treifa, the Melika saves you from Tumah. Rabbi Yehuda says Melika does not save you from Tumah. So now I'm going to do a Kavachomer and then a Memetzinu. That what? Kavachomer. So what's more severe in the Tumah? An animal or a bird? An animal. Why? Because an animal, if you touch it, you become tummy. A bird, if you touch it, you don't become tummy. So an animal is more severe. Shchita is mitaheres, trifas tumah. So yet, if you shecht an animal, it removes the shchita, the tumah nivlasoif. So if you have a bird, a bird which is less severe, if you touch it, you don't become tamei. And it did shchita is mitaheres trifas. So step number one is that shchita should definitely be mitar a bird when it's treif from its tumah, mitumasa. Now, when I got to that step, that what? That shchita with a knife removes the tumah, even if the bird had a hole in the heart, like we just saw in the video, a hole went through, arrow went right through the heart. It's not tummy. Now we're going to go to a memetzinu. Memetzinu means, well, just like we found it by shchita, it removes the tumah. So too by melika, it removes the tumah, says Remeir. Memetzinu b'shchita shemachsharta b'achila b'taheres shreifas b'tumasa. Af melika shemachsharta b'achila b'taheres shreifas b'tumasa. So to melika it should also work. So here you have a memetzinu that comes after Kavachomer, and it works. Says the Gemara, and hold on. And Rabbi Yossi Yomer, and finally a third shita, Daya kinivlas be'ematayra. Daya, don't go too much on this limud. It's enough to say that it should be exactly like an avela of an animal that's tar. By an animal, shchita works and not malika. So too by a bird. So he said, we have three shitas. Either shchita and malika work by a bird, or it doesn't work by a bird, or shchita works by a bird and malika not. So the Gemara is not a raya that you can do a memetzinu after kavachomer. V'loi hazim teheve he. First of all, v'loi. So step number one is Remeir never said that it's a memetzinu. He spoke about a hekesh. There's a hekesh to teach me that a bird, if you do malika on a bird that's treif, it's not mitama. But the second thing is, Hazim teheve he mishchito dechulin kasya. We said yesterday, we're trying to find, could you say a memetzinu after a kavachomer in kachim, not in chulin, in kachim, in karbanas? Would he bring me a raya from a bird that's tamei, that's not kachim? Next, and this is the end of the sugya. Unfortunately, I hate to see the sugya go. Davar alav bebinyanav maushi lamed behekesh u'gzer shava u'bekavachomer u'bebinyanav. We are finally down to the final row, right over here. Oops, my laser went away. Okay. We're on this row, the Binyanav row. And we want to know, could you learn a Hekesh from a Binyanav? Can you learn a Xer from a Binyanav, Kavchomer from a Binyanav, and a Binyanav from a Binyanav? Well, this whole thing. And the answer is, I don't know. But the Gemara says, I'm going to try one out of the four. Maybe one, I can tell you. How come if the blood that was left overnight and you put it on the mizbech, it's not kosher to put on, but if you put it on the mizbech by mistake, im alula yerdu, the famous song im alula yered, with the sunglasses. The answer is shari lam be'imurim kosher. It's a mamatzinu, like I found that if you put the imurim on the mizbech by mistake after it was left overnight, do not remove it, kosher. Lombe murim kosher. And how do I know that? Shari lombe basar kosher. Because shlamim, basar over here means shlamim. Shlamim that's left overnight is kosher. So it's a mamatzinu after mamatzinu. So Gemara says, maybe I could, this box in the bottom left corner, maybe, which is a binyanav, after I learned the binyanav, right? It was two things that we just learned. I know blood from a murim, and I know a murim from shlamim. And then the Gemara continues, Yoitze, what if meat goes outside of Beis Hamikdash, you put it on the mizbech, you don't have to take it off, however, Yoitze kosher b'bama. Because you see the concept of meat outside of the Beis Hamikdash by a bama. Tamei, if the meat is tamei and it went onto the mizbech, you don't have to take it off, because it's allowed for the tzibur. Chutz zmano, if you had a thought of eating it after it's a lot of time and you put it on the mizbeach, lo yered. Because the actual avoid over there, you need that avoid in order to make it pigul. Chuzim kaimai, you have meat that he had a thought that he's going to eat it outside of the Yerushalayim or whatever it is. The reason why you don't take it off the mizbeach is because it's similar to chutz. Or you have somebody who's puzzle who sprinkled the blood. You have kohanim that are tamei. Fine, that's what we're talking about. As the Gemara, you're learning from shlamim. You're learning blood from emurim and emurim from shlamim. As the Gemara, wait a minute. How are we learning from shlamim? How can you learn something that's puzzle from something that's shlamim that's kosher? Says Gemara, you're right. Tana mezois toras ha'olah. It's 3 limudim from this one pasuk. So I have an extra pasuk that teaches us these 3 things. Riba samach lei. Brand new sugi Rabbi Isai. It says in the Gemara, it says in the Mishnah, that when you have leftover blood, what do you do with it? You pour it right there on the side. Says Gemara, how do I know this? You put it but not the side, on the western part of the side. Why western part? My time as you come out of the oil moed, as you come out of the heichal, the first thing you bump in, ahud paga bereisha. That's what you should. So let's take a look. What are you bumping into when you come out of the heichal? Actually, I don't know if this is good. No, this is not so good. No, not this one. Sorry, that's coming from outside. Here's the heichal, the overview of the heichal, the bird's eye view. So when this human being, this kohen, comes outside of the heichal, what does he bump into? The mizbeach. So you should put it right there. It's a little bit far. Because the mizbeach is pushed off. That's why you had to make a right turn. Those holes over there, that's when you come out of the heichal, that's what you bump into first. It's ein mavirim ala mitzvahs. You shouldn't, when you have a mitzvah in front of you, you don't pass it off. You don't pass it by, pass it over. You don't pass it over. I had a Maisa Shaya, I had a guest by me, more like about Tshuva, maybe. He was just becoming about Tshuva. And I think that's what it was. And I think I remember who it is even. But after Kiddush, I gave him wine. I said, pass it over to the guy next to you or whatever, to that couple. And he drinks it. So I'm like, what's pshat? He says, "Ei mavir al mitzvahs." He learned you don't pass by a mitzvah. He said, but I told you, I'm the balabas. I told you this wine, do not drink it. It's not for you. It's for that person. It's not mavir al mitzvahs. Okay, argument. I call upon him. It says this pasuk in different ways, basically, a number of times. El yisoid mizbach ha'olah. This one is by Ariel davar. Sorry, the Par Kohen Gadol. So what do you learn from this? You should pour the blood on the foundation, on the yisoid of the Mizbeach HaChitzayin, and not the Mizbeach HaPnimi, not the golden Mizbeach Hazav inside the Heichal. Another pasuk that says by Ariel davar. Third pasuk. Ein lo yisoid l'pnimi atzmoi. The inner Mizbeach does not have a yisoid. Let's see what we got here from our artist. This is the Mizbeach HaPnimi. It doesn't have a foundation, you see? Oh. Beautiful. You see the Shulchan on the right, the Menorah on the left. I just didn't know why. Right over here, you could see the paroiches through the menorah. I don't know. Pshat. Okay. El Yisoid Mizbach Ha'olah. Finally, it says El Yisoid Mizbach Ha'olah by the Nasi. Tein Yisoid LeMizbech Shel Olah. So if you were to read it, it would mean you should put a foundation on the Mizbeach Ha'olam. No, that's not the pshat. You should pour all bloods, any leftover blood, pour it on the Mizbeach Ha'olam. So maybe it means that you should put a foundation there. That the zrika should be by the foundation, not, in other words, not by the southern part of the Mizbeach that doesn't have a foundation. Shiraim do not create forgiveness, kapara, but you have to pour it by the Yisoid. So certainly, the beginning part of the carbon you should put by the Yisoid. I'll just throw this out. That I don't know what the Eitz is really, but it seems like in the firm community, there lacks the basic knowledge, the basic yisoidus of emunah, the basic yisoidus of bitachon, the basic yisoidus of Yiddishkeit. Like, when I speak to people, at least, it's like, it seems like they're lacking the knowledge. They're lacking just the basics. Nobody ever taught them why the Rebbeinu Shleilim, who the Rebbeinu Shleilim, where, why do we do what we do, who are we, just the basics, like the mamish, the basics. I think people have a lack of understanding. They do things because this is what they're taught to do, and I think it needs to be taught better in schools, in yeshivas. There should be classes and shiurim about just fundamentals of Yiddishkeit. There are groups that do that. The Erechim does it, but I think if you speak to the average person, they'll say, Bitachon, Emunah, what does it mean even? Where do we come from? Why us? Where, just basic stuff. The Yisoidus, the Yisoid of Yiddishkeit. Teilim Mizbeach Shaloilo. Oh, so we have a Kavachomer. Mashuraim Shem Chabrim doing Yisoid. Yeah, we said this already. Tchila Salam Shem Chabrim and then should do Yisoid. Rabbi Kiva says, Mashuraim Shem Chabrim, Vein Bar Kaparim doing Yisoid. Same thing, yeah? Shiraim do not create a forgiveness, and they're not coming to forgive. Yet, you have to put it on the foundation of the Mizbeach. So, oila that comes to forgive, and it's there for forgiveness. It creates a forgiveness. Certainly, it should require the foundation to pour by the foundation. Why do you need the pasuk? That all karbanos that have leftover blood, you should pour by the yisoid. Omar Mar, el yisoid mizbach, v'lo yisoid mizbach ha'pnimi. And there's no v'lo yisoid mizbach ha'pnimi. There's no foundation to the inner mizbach. As the Gemara meboyle legufei. Wait a minute, what does that mean? Maybe who told you to exclude the inner mizbech? Maybe it's in addition to the inner mizbech. The inner mizbech, for sure, you could pour the blood. It's the inner mizbech. It's more choshev. It's in the heichal. Maybe it means that you could also pour it in the outer mizbech, but certainly in the inner mizbech. Who told you to get rid of the inner mizbech? Says the Gemara, you're right. Good kasha. Masher pesach oil moyed nafka. I have a pasuk that tells me that you shouldn't pour it in the inner mizbech. You should pour it in the outer mizbech. El yisoid mizbach oil. Here's my little treat for today. The Belzer, his wife asked him he should teach her one amud of Gemara. So he taught her Baba Kama Daf Nun Zayin. I think it was Nun Zayin. So one line. How come he didn't teach her Daf Nun Aleph on the base? 50 daf into just chapped 50 daf into Zevachim. Rabbi said 50 daf because Nun Aleph on the base is very, very short, from the shortest in Shas, but not the shortest. It's 3 lines. If you're going to say that this pasuk is only coming for the Nasi himself, the Shiraim, you need a pasuk for that. You should pour the leftover blood. Shiraim or Baroy Ovilu. all the sprinkling of the blood is outside. So of course you pour the rest, the leftover, outside, not inside the heichal. Maybe you should flip things around. The baroi legavoy, the gavoy lebaroi. The nasi is carbon that you worship it, you do the avodah in the heichal. So maybe you should pour the blood outside, and the blood that you pour outside should go into the inside. It's impossible to pour blood inside. Why? Because it doesn't have a foundation that the mizbech apnimi, like we saw. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day. I'll see you Be'ez Hashem in Eretz Yisrael.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.